Afternoon, friends. Drew had a beautiful afternoon in Penns Manor Drive here in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. Customer called us for a roof leak challenge. Not the first time we've been in this neighborhood for that type of concern. The cause of this one, sadly, it's just a roofer that wasn't paying attention to what they were doing. We're gonna take you down and show you what's going on in this edition of Forever Home. Let's get going. Here we go. So we're working today on the back of the house, and we've got this pipe collar here that we put a sacrificial boot on. The rain gutter on the front of the house was draining down onto the roof, so we had to patch that roof replace all the plywood, extend the downspout. While we were working on that, we popped over and took care of adding a sacrificial boot on top of her existing pipe collar just to preserve the life on that as long as we can. Well, they called us back here probably a year and a half later with some problems inside, and we'll maybe edit in here in this space a photo of what was going on inside the roof deck. And there was this drip coming through the plywood, but located several feet down below the pipe collar. So as I look carefully at this picture, you can see these red lines where I've drawn in and counted the nail lines, basically counting the rows of shingles. So we started at the pipe collar, and so we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was where that leak started showing up, and there was a crack right there. All right, well, 5 courses below, wouldn't you know, that's right about here. So what did we find? So you can see in this first clip that I shot earlier today, there was one nail that was sitting down just below the edge of the shingle, and there's a pretty good chance that water was catching that and getting into the roof deck. And then there was another nail that we found as we started taking things apart, located directly between 2 shingles. So any water that was coming in that gap between the 2 shingles was going to be getting in and kind of forced down onto that space. So this is where that low nail was, and you can look and you can see the damage right around that spot. That was the low nail. And then this is that nail that was wedged between the 2 pieces of shingle, and you can see all the damage that's around there. So we'll back up, give you a little bit wider shot, and you can see that everything's stemming really from those 2 spots. Now, as we look higher up, tar paper looks in good shape. As we look higher up there, again, tar paper looks in pretty good shape. It's really just a problem that we were having from these 2 nails funneling water down into that hole. If this nail hadn't been placed right between where the shingles land, if this one hadn't been hanging out the bottom catching water and funneling it in, they probably would not have problems leaking inside between the sheets of plywood where they do now. So this isn't too humped up. We're okay probably just going over this. And what we're gonna do is bring some ice and water shield up. We're gonna come up here and find a spot to slice a line in the tar paper. We're gonna slip our ice and water shield up under, so any water that comes down the tar paper lands on top of our ice and water shield, and then we're actually gonna bring that out all the way on top of this shingle here, so that any water that comes out gets pushed up to the top, and that's how we're gonna solve this here today. So the next step, we have sliced the ice and water shield, and we've gone up underneath the next layer several inches, and that is going to be our new protection to take care of this area and make sure that any water that comes down on top of this ice and water shield, on top of this tar paper, is gonna wind up on top of our ice and water shield and out to the bottom. And then we're gonna nail this down and throw some goop on it and start putting our shingles back together. So we're just about finished here with this project. A little cleaning up to do, but our shingles are back in. We've got through the roof adhesive between each one of those layers to help hold things up. We showed you earlier the ice and water shield that we slipped underneath. And so that should solve this. That piece of plywood does have to dry out a little bit. The good news, the saving grace, is that actually is a full sheet of legitimate actual plywood. The sheet below it was OSB, and it swelled up a little bit, but it seems to be, you know, I've stuck my knife in it, it seems to be all right. The plywood is wet, but the nice thing about plywood is that it can take a little bit of more water and it can dry, because that's real wood that's been shaved as they spin the tree. And so that'll dry down to the inside of things and be perfectly fine, and will continue to support the roof for many years to come. The roofs in this neighborhood are starting to get towards their last legs, and we can see over here on the neighbors, yeah, their pipe collar's starting to go, and they're probably due. Let's get a sacrificial boot on that, you know. And as I look across the neighborhood, you know, every one of these homes, sacrificial boots, these are gonna be the first signs that your roof is starting to have problems if you have leaks right around them, because that rubber is gonna break down in the sun and the water's gonna seep in. Let me take you up to the front and I'll show you the other problem that's very common in this neighborhood. So another common cause, and we can link to another video down in the description about roofers clipping corners. There's one place you actually do want to cut corners in roofing, and that's on a valley like this. You want to make sure that the shingles up underneath have those front leading corners clipped off, because what happens is they stick out here and they stick out prior to that last shingle. Water can come down, hit the top of that, and wind up running across the roof and finding a hole in. So I want to make sure those are cut. We'll link to another video so you can see that. One of the signs that your roof is starting to go. See these shiny spots all down through here? All that reflection? That's the sun reflecting off the fiberglass and the shingles. It means the protective stone layer has started to go away, and that's one of your other early indications that a roof is beginning to reach the end of its useful life. So if you look up your roof first thing in the morning, last thing in the afternoon, and you see a bunch of real shiny spots on the edges, that may be time it's worth having your roof looked at to see how much much time you have left, and maybe it's time to start budgeting for a new roof at your place. So the other real common problem that we have in this neighborhood is with the garage roofs. You'll notice how that downspout from the second floor is draining right onto that roof deck, and you can really see the discoloration that's happening there. You're running the Grand Canyon across your roof, and if you don't have these hard piped in, I'll show you what we mean. We've already done that for this customer here because we had to replace this roof once already. This second floor gutter is hard piped all the way down and into that lower downspout, so they're not running all of that roof water over these shingles and prematurely wearing them out. So if you get a situation like this on your roof where you've got a downspout draining onto some shingles, let's get out there and put a downspout extension on that to help protect your roof and extend the life. You can cut 10 years off your roof by having that on there. So we really want to fix that. And the last problem we often have to address is some of the homes, some of them are better than others, this black flashing. If that's not into the brick right, that can also cause you problems and leaks down in your garage. So if you live here in Penns Manor Drive or anywhere in southern Chester County, our team proudly serves the Route 1 corridor from Nottingham to Kennett Square. Give us a call at 484-748-0008. Choose option 2 for 𝗂𝘁𝘀, your full service construction and renovation company, and extension 2 for new projects. There's nothing that we don't do: roofing, siding, windows, doors, decks, anything on the interior of your home, plumbing, electrical, drywall, spackle, paint. Build your custom dream house, an addition, a garage. Take a picture of what's bugging you. Let us know what problem we can solve. Send it to us through our Facebook page. Click that contact us button there at the top. If you're watching on YouTube, please like this video, hit the subscribe and the notifications bell so you get updated on all of our cool projects. Help you be able to better determine when you're interviewing contractors who you should hire and who you want to stay away from, because you know the right questions to ask. We'll catch you on the next episode of Forever Home. Remember, we're finished with it. You'll be proud to say it's not just done, it was 𝗂𝘁𝘀. Bye for now.